My name's Kris Hulbert. Started as a writer, led to becoming a director. Had to produce if I wanted to write and direct. And that's led me on quite the journey that has now evolved into becoming an entrepreneur because I saw a lot of areas of inefficiency and gaps in accountability in the entertainment industry that I believe there's a lot of modern solutions and technology available to solve all those problems, but nobody's yet correlated it all together into one single solution. It's been an interesting transition over the years of seeing the entertainment industry go from what it was to what it's becoming. A lot of panic, a lot of people worried about being replaced. I'd say there's a lot of dead weight in the middle of the pipeline for the entertainment industry that can be completely eliminated and removed from the equation, and I think most of them know it. I'm referring to more the business side. There's always a need and a demand for creativity, but a lot of the things that the industry has been built on, and what I like to call controlled access points, are being decentralized, are being democratized, and are becoming available to anybody anywhere in the world, which makes them less of a need, less of a power center and control point than they used to be. And you can either adapt or you can go kicking and screaming and try and maintain that wall as long as possible, even as it crumbles around you. One of the biggest problems the top 5 studios have is that they've been around for 100 years. And they've been the only game in town for 100 years, so they've built massive wealth, but at the same time, they've also built massive overhead and infrastructure. And that is so much harder to maintain in this day and age because content is fractured. Nobody has a collective experience anymore with content. So the million different options mean that the revenue is divided in a million different ways. And that might be small for a lot of people, but that's a big drop for the big guys. And when you've got a lot of bills to pay, when you've got a lot of real estate, payrolls, exorbitant salaries, you need blockbusters. You need blockbuster after blockbuster. You need the big budget movies. You can't make small character pieces, things in the $3 to $5 million range, even the $5 to $10 million range. Hell, even under $50 million is becoming a difficult ask. And they're drowning in their own overhead. I believe in this day and age, it'll be easier to build the next modern studio for the 21st century from the ground up, built from its foundation with cutting edge technology, than it will be for these mammoth behemoth infrastructures to downsize and become competitive again once you've built up to a certain level. Gratwick means to me family. I grew up in a suburb of Buffalo, New York, and a little borough of that neighborhood was known as Gratwick, and that's where all my friends and family were. And I spent most of my teenage and 20-somethings in the land of Gratwick. And when it came time to name the company and think of a brand identity, there really was no second choice. It was always going to be Gratwick. The vision for Gratwick is to be a content production community where it has its own centralized content. My creative brands, we've got books, novels, scripts, TV shows, spin-offs, an entire what we call the Gratwick universe ready to go, and just needed a proper pipeline and infrastructure to support it. I've had this content pretty much since the beginning, but it needed the right support system to monetize and capitalize it properly in a way that would allow us to tell the stories that have been designed to be told in this universe, and also do it in a way where we can ensure that anyone that invests in Gratwick or the Gratwick universe has a reasonable, honest, and ethical expectation of seeing a return on their investment. The people that invested in my first film, unfortunately, their ability to get repaid was left into the hands of the establishment, the industry. We had to trust them to give us what we were owed. We had to trust them to tell us what the sales numbers were and then deliver those royalties in an efficient and consistent way. That simply did not happen, and we were too small and put too much money on screen to be able to protect ourselves. And I will never let that happen again. I feel like Hollywood raised me. I feel like I am the culmination of all of the propaganda that Hollywood's been spewing out since the late 70s. The 80s and 90s movies about the small band of rebels that can rise up and take on the evil empire. The good guys always win. The lovable loser that in the end figures it all out and overcomes great odds. All of the hero journeys of Hollywood, I bought into it. Like I see the world in scenes. When Robin Hood Prince of Thieves came out in the theater, I saw it 15 times. But it never clicked with me that, oh, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to tell stories. What clicked with me was I want to build bridges in the trees and I want to be fucking Robin Hood. And so I got every kid in our neighborhood, and for years we lived in the trees when we were all hanging out and playing together. 20, 30 feet up, bridges. It wasn't until I came to Hollywood and had an opportunity to walk around the Warner Brothers lot that it ever occurred to me that this was a real place, that this is what I always should have been doing. So I love Hollywood as an idea, as a feeling. I love storytelling. I think it's the greatest weapon in the entire world, the most powerful weapon in the entire world. But I think the business of Hollywood was created for something entirely different. I think it was created for something even more than profit. I think it was created to control messaging, to impose ideas and concepts onto a population in a massive way. I don't like that part about Hollywood. I want nothing to do with that part of Hollywood. I think a lot of the business practices become inherently predatory because of how much power and control over opportunities they hold. If an endless supply of people want this opportunity and the first 100 aren't willing to do what you want them to do for that opportunity, and when I mean what you want them to do, I mean in an unethical way, there's 1,000 behind them waiting to say yes, that will willingly do that unethical thing. And that's the problem. That's the pressure it creates and puts on everybody. So until there's a competitor, a competing alternative that is built around transparency and accountability, where people can just go be great for the sake of being great and to tell the stories that move their soul, there has to be an option. There has to be an infrastructure. There has to be a support system for that to happen. And my goal is to build it in a non-predatory way that is equally available to everybody and serves no central beholder of the technology. I think there's levels to that power, but I think the draw and illusion of what this industry is creates inherent power for even people like in a small town film community like Western New York, where there's no other opportunities to act or be in movies. There's no paid opportunities, no career opportunities. So you can have some no-name person offer opportunities and ask people to work for free or to do it for free or to be exploitable for free because there's no other competition. There's no other alternative. There's no system of support within that community to build sustainable careers that can build opportunities and options that come inherently with accountability. Everybody that tries to do something within the scope of the entertainment industry has a power and a responsibility that can be easily leveraged and abused. When I first really started being on the internet regularly, it was probably 2007, 2008, the rise of Facebook, Twitter, things like that. You know, we now live in a world where everybody's trying to hide the things that they were saying on the internet all those many years ago. And the irony is, I was always talking to the future. You go back and look at my tweets and Facebook posts from as far back as they go, And transparency and accountability were always the things I've been talking about. I was talking about Harvey Weinstein when people would scream and yell at me that if you want to work in this town, shut your mouth, look the other way, turn a blind eye. Nobody wanted to hear it. Then all of a sudden, it became cool. It became trendy. It became marketing slogans to be transparent and accountable. But what I realized along the way is it's one thing to talk the game. It's another thing to live by it, to literally live by it. On the back end of our first film, things got twisted and dark, and people were lying and misleading people for their own personal gains and benefit. People didn't know what to trust, who to trust, whether I was trying to do right by them or whether I was trying to do right by myself. And all I wanted through that entire process was just extreme transparency. For everybody to know everything we were going through and what we were doing, because I truly believed anyone else in similar situations would have never had the courage or fortitude to make the choices and decisions I did to have the best effort to protect my family and friends. It became something that if you truly believe in transparency and it's more than a marketing slogan, it also becomes an opportunity. It becomes an opportunity to deliver a form of content that few have the courage or willingness to do. Wayne Gretzky used to say, don't go where the puck is, go where the puck's going. And for me in the entertainment industry, that has always meant live content, but a different form of live content that nobody else is offering. The most interesting part of the entire process is the creative part. That's when the magic happens. That's when egos collide. That's when creativity has conflict and ideas are forged in fire and dispute. People only get to see nips and tucks of that through selective excerpts at the end of DVDs and Blu-rays that don't even exist anymore. I want to offer people full transparency, an entire live production of our content, all of our content. We want to offer this unique form of entertainment where you can engage with the cast and crew. You can see them building a project and putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it. I believe this offers a new level of promotion, opportunity, and security to every single person involved in the entire process. And I don't believe the established entertainment industry has the courage or fortitude or the integrity to be willing to do such a thing. So I think it's an opportunity for us to provide an experience that nobody else can do at this point in time. Everything I've been talking about on the accountability process starts and begins with the money. If you can't raise money by looking people in the eye and telling them you legitimately believe they have an honest opportunity to get repaid and see a profit here, then you're just another scam artist. You're just another con artist going around raising money because you can, because you have great ideas, because you know the value of what you offer, but you have no confidence in the ability to exploit it ethically in a way that everybody wins and benefits from. I couldn't raise more money knowing that I couldn't get people paid back because it would be out of my control. Because I could make a great movie and turn it over to the machine, and then whatever they do with it, however they exploit it, maybe they completely fail on the marketing angle. Maybe they just steal all the money. There's a wide range of possibilities that I have no accountability over. It's out of my control. I learned that lesson the hard way. I would say it's an institutional issue. I think it's the way the system's been designed. Everybody needs to eat. Everybody tries to create their own value. And you end up with way too many people in the royalty chain, especially in this day and age where smart contracts can create automatic royalty chains, where there's no need for 90-day turnarounds for quarterly checks. There's no reason that the distributor has to cut a check to the sales agent has to cut a check to the producer has to cut a check to the talent and then the investor, and everybody has to just blindly trust the previous person in that pipeline. When at the point of sale, all of those different parties can immediately get what they're due and what they're owed automatically. Fractured transactions sent. It creates a more secure financial system. It creates a much faster and more efficient financial system. It removes grotesque commissions that are in the 30 to 50% range for nothing. They don't do anything. If I distribute my movie on Apple, Apple's not going to market my movie. They get 30% of the sales of my movie being distributed on Apple. They're not doing anything for it. They're just giving me access to their platform. I still then have to go take an entire audience, tell them about my movie, pitch them on my movie, and drive them to Apple to see that movie. And then what happens? Once they go into that portal to try to see my movie, now they've got all sorts of different choices. The biggest blockbuster, the new Marvel movie, is all sitting there in direct competition with my little movie that I spent every effort and resource that I had to get people to go to Apple to see it. Why, if I have to drive all of the traffic to Apple, would I not just drive all of the traffic to my own portal in the first place and save 30% on the commission? That takes less sales, higher profit margins, and faster returns to give my investors their not only their money back, but a real chance at profitability with less sales than it would take going through Apple. I think if you prove that you can make people money and you can treat them fairly and you can support their creative aspirations, that there's always going to be people that want to play in your sandbox. I feel on the creative level, I have proven it. Most of my contacts and relationships are talented, creative people that I think the world of and have not yet had the opportunity to take my intellectual property and combine it with them in a big way to really show what I believe these people are capable of. On the business side, I believe anyone that talks to me for 5 minutes understands that I know what I'm talking about. I know how the industry works. I know how it can be improved upon. But there's always going to be prove it and then we can talk. And that's what this moment is about right now. That's what Gratwick's trying to establish right now. Everyone that has found out about Gratwick, everyone that has learned about what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to build has gravitated towards it and has connected to it. Unfortunately, whether it's been the movie, social media, or the idea and brand itself, we've never been in an opportunity to run a legitimate marketing campaign to reach enough eyeballs and awareness that we can create a tipping point. That's something I'm hoping a culmination of 15 years of lessons has come to fruition now in an attempt to do that today, over the course of 2024, get people to actually know that Gratwick exists and what we're trying to do. I've seen way too many people take a bastardization of this idea and raise money and build huge audiences around it, and then those communities turn toxic because people realize that they were just sold a false bill of goods, which ironically is why a lot of our marketing efforts have been half-assed over the years, because I feel marketing is inherently manipulative. And I don't want to manipulate people. I don't want to have to boil things down to the lowest common denominator, to clickbait, to things to compete against other people that are just lying and bullshitting. I don't even want to be compared in the same realm as those people. So to some extent, I've just withdrawn when I should have charged forward and allowed other people to dominate the space that they have no business being in. I think it leaves me as the person that has not only the most experience. I was chasing this road long before the technology, before anyone even thought of the technology to facilitate the things that I was trying to execute in 2010 and 11. So I think there's nobody more authentic, sincere, or battle tested in building out what every creator needs in a way that will not be predatory under any circumstances. We've been trying to raise money softly and behind the scenes for the app for about 2 years now. That's been stunted and started a few times because of just pandemic climate. But even over that period of time, I've said no to a number of investors, multiple times to several investors. The reason being because they've made it clear early on that, I want to invest in this, and as soon as it's able to sell out to the Amazons, the Googles, the Apples of the world, that's what they expect. That's what they want to happen. Or they want to pivot as soon as possible from a free platform, a white labelable, brandable platform, to just another third-party platform that has predatory commissions, centralized control, arbitrary control over the content and who can do and publish and post what. All of the things that we're trying to build this as an escape from, a lot of the institutional and establishment money want to invest in it because of the idea and concept, and as soon as they can, use it as a Trojan horse to pivot right back to the same old, same old. And I will not let that happen. I have no intentions of selling any of the technology out, no matter how big it gets. If it gets that big, it means that we can be competitive with these people. We can challenge them directly on. We can replace them with an alternative that everybody wants because it serves everybody. A decentralized app that anybody can use as their own and have total autonomy and control over that app. They can brand it as their own. They can get all of their revenue from it as their own. It's basically their own Netflix, Facebook, and Twitter all rolled into one, but for your own brand and community. This offloads all of the centralization and power to the individual community, to the brand, to the creators. And it also makes it less of a liability for the technology and the investors in that technology, because we're not responsible for what people do with the tool we built. We're responsible for the community we build with that tool and the brand of Gratwick and what value we provide to our community. But if Bob goes and creates Bob's film community, that's completely Bob's community. That's completely Bob's app. What he does with that, what he changes that into, what he does with his community, what kind of content he allows, what type of communication, whether it's user-to-user communication or it's just user-to-creator, user-to-community manager communication, will all be dictated, controlled, and established by the actual community and brand that's using the tool. No one else that I've seen out there has built something that you would want as your own. There's a lot of almost there solutions, but there's always a fatal flaw or a missing piece in the puzzle, or a predatory commission rate, or a third-party control mechanism that ultimately you could be kicked off the app, you could be demonetized, deplatformed, and have no control over that, and could spend a lifetime trying to get somebody to respond to you and tell you why those things happened. You can't live in a free society, and you can't truly believe in free speech if everything has to go through third parties and centralized control points. It's just a digital version of Hollywood. When we talk about transparency, the idea, the business model, all of that is open to be shared. If somebody else can take the idea and the business model and they can get there and they can build it faster, all the better, because the end result, ideally, is the app that I would like to have exist right now so I can use it to run my community and my brand. I completely believe in open sourcing all of our ideas, all of our technology, all of our business models, and anyone else that's able to be successful with it simply proves the thesis correct, which only would make us stronger. We need about 6 months and $1.5 million. But we've rolled this package into a package with a live stream production so that we can also show people our work ethic, our creative endeavors, and give people a value proposition and experience during the entire process. In an ideal circumstance, either we find the right investors that share our vision, or we build enough awareness to where we can reach crowdfund equity launch point, and we get this thing up off the ground. We're looking at a total package of $5 million and a 6-month development time for the minimum viable product for the app, which would allow us to facilitate the entire live stream production business model that we have for Just Drive. Just Drive was designed from the ground up to be the prototype of this business model and to help market and promote the app, and also show the world our brand of content and what types of stories can be told when we maintain our creative autonomy. The live stream production will promote Gratwick and draw attention to the app that we're building, show people what it can do, why we're building it, and it'll be ready for the distribution of Just Drive. The entire project, from funding, development of the app, producing of the film, releasing of the film, is a tight 12-month timeline that has live content and live experiences at every stage of the process for the community to engage in. I feel like each hat feeds into the hat that I actually want to wear, which is just a storyteller that is free to tell my stories on my terms, which is what I think every creator ultimately wants deep down inside. And if I have to build a one-of-a-kind startup that is directly competing with the Hollywood establishment and Facebook and Google and Amazon to be able to tell stories on my terms, then I'm going to do it. And once it gets to a point where I feel confident and safe that all of us as creators have a infrastructure that we can rely on and trust, then I'm going to turn my attention towards telling my stories on my terms and giving the Gratwick community the greatest experiences that they can possibly ask for. And we'll turn the company over to the people that love it and want it to exist for why it exists, and will protect it with their entire lives. My goal is to build this so I can use it to tell stories for the rest of my life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for visiting Gratwick and learning more about what our plans are for the entertainment industry. If you'd like to see accountability and transparency take the forefront in the entertainment industry, then join the Gratwick community. Sign up for our newsletter and stay in touch with our efforts to build the infrastructure everybody needs to have full control over their own careers.